Welcome up, Freedom Ring. Hope everybody out there is having a great week. My guest this week, the politician, Matt Pitaro. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Dan.
Did I nail the last name?
You got it.
All right, we said that off air. Colin knows that's one of my most nerve-wracking things as a host is making sure I say a last name right.
Oh, so, you nailed it, man.
All right, appreciate that. Well, welcome to the show. Let's get to know you a little bit. Where are you from? Where'd you grow up?
Well, I'm from Bedford, New Hampshire. I grew up there. I had a very good upbringing, and it was a very happy childhood. I had a really good time growing up in Bedford.
Awesome, awesome. Now, where are you now?
Right now, I live in Allenstown, New Hampshire.
Okay.
I have a townhouse condo there, right on the river.
Oh,
it's very nice, very serene, very quiet neighborhood. I really enjoy living there.
Nice, nice. Is there a lot of smaller town vibe there?
Yeah, it's a small town, yes. Very community-oriented town. Bunch of different projects are working on developing some of the business parts of the town.
Okay.
And it's a very desirable place to live in New Hampshire. Very affordable too.
Awesome, awesome. How far away are you from like the White Mountains and stuff from there? That's
pretty far.
Okay, still pretty. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Allenstown is like halfway between Concord and Manchester.
Okay.
So you can have your pick of the cities you want to go to in the evening. So it's equidistant either way. So it's very nice, depending on your mood, which city you want to go to in the night.
Okay. Lived in New Hampshire my whole life, and I don't know if I've been throughout. I probably have, and I just haven't realized.
It's famous for Bear Brook State Park.
Oh, okay. Yes. Yep. I've been there, or at least by it. Now, I want to ask this. We ask everybody this. What are 3 things that everybody should know about you?
Well, number 1 is that I'm a very hard worker, and whatever I put my efforts towards, I put it towards 100%. Number 2, I'm a very honest person. So honest sometimes it might get me in trouble. But I prefer, if I need to pick a philosophy and a way to go through life, it's always to be honest and be sincere. Number 3 is that I like making friends, and I like being around people. And people can come up to me and talk to me and ask me anything, and I'm always very happy to spend my time with people.
Okay, awesome, awesome, and yeah, that honesty thing that goes along right. That's for a politician.
Yes.
You know, they tell us that a lot.
Yeah. No, I'm the one exception. I actually am an honest politician.
Awesome, awesome. Now, big question, Let Freedom Ring. We're sticking with the theme of the show, which is Let Freedom Ring. What does it mean to you to be an American?
To me, it's a blessing. We do live in the greatest country in the world, and the kind of freedoms that we enjoy here, a lot of other places in the world don't necessarily enjoy those freedoms or enjoy them in the same way. Here, we don't have a class system or anything like that. Here, if you work hard, you can achieve whatever you'd like to achieve, and there are opportunities all over. So it's a very nice place to be, and it's a very diverse country too. We're a very geographically large country, so if there's something about the region you're in that you don't like, or you think you might need opportunity somewhere else, you have the freedom to move to a different part of the country and try your luck there. So to me, being an American, it is about freedom, and it is about opportunity.
Awesome, awesome. I like that you brought up diversity, because we brought that up a lot in the show. And I think that's something that's like so important to the United States. It's just like we have so many different. We're a melting pot.
Yes.
And that's cool. Like myself, I have different friends from all different backgrounds, and you learn so many different things. And you know, I'm not saying that other countries don't have it, but there's a lot that don't.
No,
you know?
Of course, yeah. It wouldn't be as fun if everybody was like homogenized and everything was the same. There's so much to learn, and there's so much to acquire from the different people that you meet and the different cultures we have right here in the country.
Yeah, no, I like that answer. Now I want to get into this, because we said you were the politician. That is a professional wrestling reference here, which that you are a professional wrestler. How did you decide that you wanted to become one?
Well, it's a very interesting story, actually. Throughout my whole life, I've been practicing the martial arts. And a few years ago, the WWE Network released a documentary on Shayna Baszler. And she talked about how she was a student of the legendary Billy Robinson. Billy Robinson is known for catch-as-catch-can wrestling, and he was a student of the Snake Pit, which is a legendary wrestling stable out of England. And she talked about how he would teach all of his students catch wrestling first before he would even touch pro wrestling. So my time in the martial arts, I got as high as I was ever going to go. I accomplished everything I wanted to in it. So I felt the time was right for me to do something fun with my athletics and jump into the squared circle and start professional wrestling.
Awesome. Did you do any sports in high school? Were you on the wrestling team or anything? Or
I did folk wrestling briefly in high school, but a lot of my time during high school was training and competing in different martial arts.
Okay, very cool. Now, you are training at the Elite Pro Wrestling Academy. How did you pick that as the school you wanted to go to?
Well, I did have the opportunity to try a few classes there, and the size of the facility, the cleanliness of this facility, it really blew me away. And it's right next door to the Zoo Fitness Club.
Okay.
And the wrestling school itself also has great locker rooms. They have a production studio area where they can film promos. You can practice on your promos. And the facility is large enough for 3 different rings, and we actually do have 3 different training rings there. All the rings are new. They're not old hand-me-downs or anything like that. And what drew me to it is that I saw an opportunity there to be a part of something that was good to start out with, but something that will grow. And I wanted to be one of the people who would grow with the facility as they advanced.
Very cool. Now you said that all the rings are new. That could not have been cheap. I know how much it is to just rent a wrestling ring.
Yeah, the owners really did want to start off the school with everything being top notch and everything being standing out from some of the other schools in New England. Not to say that any of the other schools are bad or anything like that, but they have a vision and they have a plan for what they want to achieve with professional wrestling in New England.
Yeah, because it looks like their plan is for, long-term growth. I mean, you got to, I guess, spend money to make money too, so. Now, did you start out, because we've had Billy Duncan on the show, and we wish him well, hoping Billy Duncan gets well. Will Duncan, as I know him. Did you start off a little bit older into pro wrestling, or?
That's right, yep.
Yeah.
I've been at it for coming up on 2 years pretty soon. Right now, I'm 36, and I did start a little bit older, but again, harking back to the martial arts background, the physicality part of it isn't too bad for me. The only thing is I just wish I started it earlier. That way I would be much more advanced now in my professional wrestling career. Right now I'm really just starting out. So that's really the only downside of starting at this age.
Well, I think what's super cool too is us being 2 New Hampshire guys is we didn't really... Lobsterman, I think, closed his wrestling school before I even got out of college, so that was already gone. I can't think of any... You have Next Gen Pro Wrestling, but that didn't come until, after the pandemic that I can think of. And then Elite came. They're really, New Hampshire, it was either... I think the only place you really could go was New England Pro Wrestling Academy or drive to Connecticut, really, that I can think of.
That's true. As a matter of fact, though, back when I was a teenager, I did do a fantasy camp at Steve Bradley's school in Manchester.
Okay, yeah.
And I have so many takeaways from that weekend camp, and I had such a good time. And being in the business now, it was such an honor that I did have the opportunity to meet and get to know Steve Bradley a little bit, because he was kind of the trainer. He's the trainer of my coach and the trainer of so many others in New England right now. So I appreciate my opportunity then, and I'm so honored that I just have that small connection with him.
Yeah, it's super cool. We've talked about this when we had Sonny and Will on the show, that how important Steve Bradley is to wrestling in New England, wrestling in New Hampshire. Mm-hmm. Like you said, I believe Scott Reed who's the head trainer there, or one of the head trainers, or owner, was trained by him. That's a super cool story because he was really important in the whole Wrestling Federation of America.
Yes.
Originally was Steve Bradley, correct?
Yes. Yep. And as Scott and Mike and Sonny are launching WFA again, and we're on the road running right now. I actually dug up an old VHS tape of WFA, and what a groundbreaking, ahead of its time promotion that it was back then. And with the Elite Pro Wrestling Academy and the plans for WFA now, we're just going to build on that and keep moving forward.
Yeah, it's super cool because, because I if you don't know this, or you didn't watch the last episode, I've been away for a little bit. You guys have been running a lot of shows. When I first looked at the schedule, there was quite more shows than I'd ever seen. How is that? How do you feel like that's going so far? Are you seeing a lot of return fans, or
we have very loyal, very dedicated fans, and speaking for myself, I personally appreciate it, and of course, my coaches would want me to thank the fans for coming to all of our shows. It's been going good. With starting anything new, there's always kinks to work out.
Sure.
But so far, the production has been going very well. We've been working together as a team, all the students at the school working together as a team to get the production going. We all have different roles to play when we go on the road. And we've actually gotten compliments for our production a couple times already. Gabe Sapolsky has came down to check out our show, and we're so happy to have him. We just finished a seminar with him last weekend, and he came to a few of our other shows, and he complimented us on some of the things that we're doing to stand out in the New England wrestling scene.
Very cool. Now, for the audience at home, can you tell us a little bit who Gabe is? Because they might be watching and not know how important this guy is.
Gotcha. Okay, so Gabe Sapolsky, he's the scout for the WWE for the independent scene, and it's his job with the WWE to visit the independents all throughout the country and report directly back to Triple H on who he thinks the WWE can bring in.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, because I was a lot younger when ECW folded. I think I was still in high school, but he worked there because I've seen him on all the documentaries. Am I correct? He's an ECW guy, or an ECW behind the scenes guy.
His resume in the independent wrestling scene is extensive. After ECW, I believe he worked closely with Jim Cornette. I know he was involved with running Evolve, and his resume extends beyond. So he knows what he's talking about, and he has a great eye for what he's looking for and what the WWE is looking for. And just to get any sort of compliment from him with, how WFA is running things, and the Elite Pro Wrestling Academy, how we're doing things there, it was very rewarding to get that feedback from him.
No, and I think that's so cool that you guys have that relationship right now, because I've listened to a few podcasts that Julian Starr was doing, a couple, I don't know if he's doing it anymore, but they had Jamie Jakowski, who was the owner of Chaotic, and he built a relationship with WWE, and now you saw all these guys from Chaotic that made it there, like your Ciampas, your Kofi Kingstons, and so I think that's fantastic that you guys are working with him.
Yes.
I do have another question about the training aspect.
Okay.
What are you finding is the most difficult part of your training?
Harkening back to the whole age thing, I think for me personally, it's a little bit of the endurance. I tell people who aren't familiar with professional wrestling that you could be a marathon runner, but as soon as you step into the ring and hit the ropes a couple of times or even do a couple of moves, it'll knock you out, it'll blow you up, you'll run out of breath. It takes a lot of practice, a lot of dedication, and it takes a knowledge about how to do the moves correctly and how to do them wisely to preserve your endurance and be a good performer in there.
Yeah, I mean, I've been, now you said you went to a fantasy camp when you were a teenager. I went at 34 or 33 or whatever it was. I knew like if I was ever going to go, I had rotator cuff surgery. I was like, if I don't ever try this once, even for a day, I'll regret it. So I went in 2018, and there's so many different things going on with your body. Like I wrestled all through high school when I was a kid and everything like that. So not the same thing, obviously, but you are using so many different parts. You like, I watch these matches on TV. You watch the Kenny Omegas or the Johnny Garganos. Like, how the hell do they have the energy to do this? Like, I can only imagine like cardio that goes into training, but you're also using all your muscles at the same time. So
it's a total full body workout for sure.
Yeah. I think a lot of your pro wrestling haters that that always have some kind of comment, they don't understand how much goes into that. Who you been training? Who are some of the wrestlers? Who are some of the trainers? Who are you working with while you're at the school?
Well, at the Elite Pro Wrestling Academy, we have Coach Scott Reed. I work very closely with him. He is just now getting back in there. He's recovered from a knee injury, and he's back into the ring and getting physical once again. And the great thing about Scott is that just working with him and being tactile with him, you learn so much from just his awesomeness rubbing off on you. So that's a great honor. Excuse me. We also have Mike Hollow. Mike Hollow, of course, been an excellent trainer in the New England wrestling scene for many, many years. And Mike Hollow is known for his footwork. And one of the best things that I'm taking away from his teachings is always being intense. Being intense when you go into the moves, being intense with the moves, being intense in between the moves. And Coach Hollow is all about presentation. And he has such a keen eye for everything. So everything that you do is something that you can improve. So there's so many great takeaways from that.
He's essentially like the Belichick of New England independent wrestling.
Yes.
I would have, from everything I've heard about Mike Hollow. I do have one other question about Mike Hollow before some of the wrestlers you trained with. I see Ken Shamrock come down to the school.
He did,
They took a photo op.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about what happened there?
So what's going on with that is one of the friends of the school is using one of the rings for motion capture for wrestlers. He's developing a video game. It's can't think of the name or anything right now. Maybe if I'll come back to it. But he's bringing in independent wrestlers and former WWE superstars to be a part of this video game. So Ken Shamrock was there for the motion capture, and Mike Hollow, he's so excited. He was so excited to see him and kind of relive that moment from WrestleMania 14. So fortunately, I had to miss that day. I couldn't make it, unfortunately, but just another great opportunity at the Elite Pro Wrestling Academy. We have all sorts of things surrounding the wrestling business going on there, too. Yeah,
that's super cool. I didn't know that, and then I saw the picture. I go, yeah, it makes total sense that Mike Hollow was there. It was in WrestleMania 14, for those who don't know, was in Boston, Massachusetts. So now who's some of the people you've come up with? Now we're starting... Some of these names, people that follow independent wrestling might know now because you guys have run quite a few shows at this point. So who are some of the other wrestlers you're training with?
At the academy, one of the other wrestlers we have is Keon, or Kyle. Keon has been getting matches all over New England lately, and I've been working with him a lot from the very beginning of my training. And he came into it with a little bit more experience than me, so he's always been very helpful and a great partner and showing me different ways of doing things, and the benefit of his experience he's passing along. He's absolutely wonderful to work with. We got Will Duncan. Will Duncan has been doing work on shows. I was in a three-man tag with him at one point.
Oh, nice.
And but unfortunately, Spencer Slade injured him at our last show, and Will Duncan is on the mend right now. So I wish him all the best in that regard. Then we got we have a new student, Kayla. She's been there for a few months, and talk about somebody who's dedicated. She is at practice every day. There's practice, and she's really coming along nicely, and the moves that she's being shown, she remembers, and she's able to take the moves she learned from days and weeks before and apply them in new situations. That's what it takes. It takes her kind of dedication to really advance in the sport. I I know I'm leaving some people out here.
That's okay.
If I do, forgive me. But I love all you guys, and I'll see you guys tonight right after the show.
There we go. Now let's get to this, because we'll kind of talk about, because you do have an actual political career on top of this wrestling character.
Yes.
But how did you come up with your wrestling gimmick?
The politician. So as you mentioned, I do have an actual real life background in politics, and I wanted to develop a character that was something that I knew. Like, I couldn't become the plumber because I don't know anything about plumbing, you know. So I came up with the politician, and there has been some controversy in the independents. As a beginner, as a newbie, you want to take advice from people who've been in it for a while. On the other hand, you also want to do what's best for you. So a lot of the advice I've been getting from all directions, my coaches, other wrestlers, bookers, everybody, they're like, you need a name, you need a name. And that's the one thing that I'm protecting for my career, and it's the politician. And the reason it is that, if just as an example, if you say the Undertaker, everybody in the planet knows what you're talking about. And everybody can associate that name with the face and the image of the Undertaker himself. That's kind of my thinking and my goal with the politician. Is right now throughout New England, I am the politician, and hopefully one day throughout the country, and maybe one day across the world, they will know when they hear that in the confines of professional wrestling that that is me, and that is my career, and that's how I'm presented.
Awesome. I mean, I don't think there's a lot. I can't think of anybody that's ever used that before that I can think of.
There are similar characters
like
out
Bob
there.
Backlund was running for
Yes.
president, but not, you know.
Right. And Bob Backlund went into it with a name. So Bob Backlund, dating back to the 70s and 80s, he's the second longest reigning WWE champ of all time. Everybody knew, and he was established as Bob Backlund. But when he changed the gimmick worked for Bob. I'm working for the character. But you know, you got the Undertaker, you got The Rock, you got a couple others. They stand out, and it's all contained within the character.
No, I like that a lot. Do you think you'd ever want to match with the progressive liberal Daniel Richards? Have you heard of him?
I have not heard of him, no.
Okay. You should check. If you haven't seen it, he's this wrestler in the South.
Okay.
And I know, I studied your politics a lot, but everybody has their own political views. But his whole gimmick is he is this left-wing guy wrestling in the South where they absolutely hate left-wing politics.
Okay.
And he's gearing all this heat, and he's doing it. You'll have to check him out.
Yeah.
If he's been on Vice, he's been on all
Somebody
these.
did mention him to me, actually. I know who you're talking about.
I think that would be quite that'd be an interesting match.
That would be good. And what's nice about what he's doing is that it's timely, and wrestling's an art form. And just like any art form, whether it's music, movies, or television, they're all a mirror of the current time period. So for him to do that is very wise. For me, and my character, the politician, inside the ring, it's not left or right. It's everything that everybody hates about all politicians.
I love that. I think that's a great. I got to get to more shows, and I will begin to them. And I definitely want to see you in action. So, what has been the best and most rewarding experience in pro wrestling for you so far?
Lately, I've been getting more matches, and I've been featured more in singles matches. And the most rewarding thing is that the hard work is paying off. The things I've learned in class, the moves, how to present myself, how to project out to the audience, and then getting the audience reaction to what I'm doing, very rewarding, very fulfilling. And there's no replacement for it. It's kind of cliche. You have wrestlers who've done it for decades, and they never seem to retire. And I totally understand that now. There's no better feeling in the world to having the attention, the admiration, and the respect of the audience.
Awesome. I've seen you now. If I'm not mistaken, are you doing some commentary work for them as well?
I was doing some commentary work. The WFA is going through a little bit of growing pains, but with right now the shows are being filmed for re-release. So we'll be releasing the shows in different formats soon. I will be the color commentator on them,
Okay.
and I will be providing my analytical insight to the shows. And it's so great because for that I try and draw as much as I can from Jerry the King Lawler.
Okay.
If I could be like half as funny as that man on these shows, that would be perfect.
I definitely look forward to hearing that. So now let's just ask this. Now you're involved with the Elite Pro Wrestling Academy, Wrestling Federation of America, and I know you're working with some other promotions as well. But where do you see the future of the school and the promotion going?
The future of the school, we've had a lot of great opportunities lately. Back in February, New Hampshire Chronicle came in.
Nice, yes, yeah.
And they did a segment on us, and it was great because they also filmed a week's worth of bumpers for their show at our school. So myself and a couple of the other students, we were featured on the bumpers for the whole week on New Hampshire Chronicle, the highest rated TV show in New Hampshire. Since that time, there has been a buzz about the school. Every day, it seems we have new students coming in doing their free trial class, and most of them are sticking with it, and they're coming back. They're enrolling, and it's great to see the passion in young people. And what's also great is that the school is there. A lot of these people didn't realize that getting into professional wrestling was something that is accessible. So we just want to be there for the people who have a passion for this, and we want to develop people not just inside the ring, but outside the ring as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, like I said, we're seeing wrestling schools in the area like we've never really seen before. Mm-hmm. You know, to think there's 2 schools in New Hampshire right now is just crazy to think about. What do you see like as the promotion? Do you think it's just going to continue to grow and go from there?
It's going to continue to grow for sure. What's going on now is that it's kind of like a filling out process. So the matches that are being put on and the talent that we're bringing in, think of it as a giant audition. And pretty soon we're gonna be releasing our championships.
Oh, okay.
And pretty soon we'll be having some championship matches, and pretty soon you're going to be seeing a lot more of the politician.
Awesome. I love that. Yeah, and in belts, people love that. That's one thing. I've always been a fan of Limitless Wrestling in Maine. Mm-hmm. But they only have 1 title, and it's been that way for a while. It's like, give us some more belts here,
right?
You know. All right. Now, like we said, you are a politician as well. You were a state rep in Allenstown. How'd you get into politics?
How did I get into politics? Well, what ended up happening is I subscribed to different newsletters. I've subscribed to both Democratic and Republican newsletters, and the Republican newsletter came out with the Northeast Republican Leadership Conference. So for a couple $100, I could go to a hotel, spend the weekend there, and go to this conference and see what it's like. So a little staycation. I got the pass and went, and turns out I had a phenomenal time there. And it was very exciting, and it was right up my alley. But at the timing of it was like a blowout from the latest campaign cycle. So all the staffers and all the volunteers and all the politicians, they're kind of blowing off steam. I felt kind of guilty being there in a sense to enjoy their party, but not put in any of the work. So I signed up to volunteer, and like I said in the very beginning of the interview, whatever I put my mind to, I do 100%. So I was the kind of volunteer where if I said that I would be here this day to do phone calls, I made sure that I was there. Or if I said I was going to be there that day to do door knocking, I made sure that I was there. So a cycle goes by. I had opportunities to become a member of the political town committee. In time, I became the vice chair of the Bedford Republican Committee, And in time, I had different roles in different political organizations and campaigns, and it finally came to the point where I moved to Allenstown, and they needed a Republican to represent that particular district, so I signed up. And 2 more cycles of signing up, I actually won. so it was a great time to become a state rep. It was a very difficult time. I got elected at the height of the pandemic.
Oh, wow, okay.
So normally when a new legislator, they get a tour of the different state buildings, like the county offices, the county nursing home, the county jail. I couldn't do any of that. Everything was remote, and it's very difficult. But things settled down with the pandemic, and things became more normal. And turns out I had a great time in there. I learned a lot, and I made some new friendships, and I strengthened some old friendships. So it was a great time, and I look forward to going back one day.
Awesome. Now, I got to ask, because I told you off air, I had a friend who's been a guest on the show. He was a state rep. Their meetings are during the week, right?
Mm-hmm.
And everybody's working. How did you make time to be there?
The thing about New Hampshire is New Hampshire has such a large participatory government, but it is a time commitment, and it is a lot of work. A lot of the members of the State House are in retirement, and they have the time in the drive to do it. The State House would love to have more young members, but a lot of young members are working, the regular 9 to 5. At the time, I did get permission from my employer to pursue this. I had to explain to them what kind of government it was and seek approval, and I was able to get time to serve my constituents.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, because it's I talked to him. It's like, yeah, if your employer has to work with you, or you're retired, or like I've met a few people that they own their own business. They make their own hours. They can go do that. Was there any bills that ever came across you like, are we really voting on this, or like anything that just came across that you're like, this is wild?
Yes, there was one. Okay, this was so. New Hampshire, as it turns out, has a lot of fees. So, in fees and licenses, and one of them is a beverage license, and we called it the lemonade stand bill. So, at the time, if you were a kid selling lemonade, the kid could have received a citation for not having a beverage license to sell beverages. So, in all seriousness, this bill got introduced, and at first it started off as a joke, but then these bills, no matter what the bill is, people introduce amendments to them to change them and make them better. Somebody introduced an amendment to lower the age from 17 to 14. So then all of a sudden, if you're a 15-year-old with the lemonade stand, you could still get a citation. And then somebody introduced an amendment to not just lemonade, all soft drinks. So we ended up, I think it passed, but it's just one of those things where it started off as just something innocuous, and it was just like a, just a correction, and then people kind of took the ball and ran with it. It just became silly by the end.
Oh my goodness! What do you find is like the most difficult part? Like obviously making the time, but like, do you get a lot of pressure from your party? Get a lot of pressure from the people you represent?
Well, here's something. In my side of in the real world, my side of politics is the Republican side, and I'll actually buck the party on one thing, and that's term limits. So most Republicans and the platform, a lot of the members of the party, they believe in term limits. I do not, and I don't believe in term limits for two essential reasons. I'll give the second reason first. The second reason is that tenure actually matters. But the first and most important reason why I don't believe in term limits is that the ultimate arbiter of your term is the ballot box. So no matter who you are, how long you've been in there, you can lose an election. But going back to the tenure thing, I served one term as state rep, and the term is 2 years, and it frankly took basically a year and a half for me to learn how to work with people in there, how to track a bill, how to follow bills, how to do things through committee, how to do things through session. It's unfortunate that I didn't get reelected, because I would be able to work so much harder and so much better knowing how the machine works. Take that a few steps further, you get reelected a few times, you get tenure, and then you get different leadership positions in the House, and that can be a very, very effective way to influence change with legislation. So, yes, I do buck the party on the term limits thing, but it's important. Experience also matters.
Yeah, I agree with that, and it can be tough. Like I like that people, just don't always just agree with their party. That's the whole point of us doing. Why are we here if we're all going to agree? Where do you see politics in 2023 in the country?
Well, truthfully, I'm so ingrained in local and state politics that I actually don't really follow national politics all that much. All I can say is a lot of the division and the anger and all of that negative stuff, a lot of it really is manufactured. Even if you go to the U.S. Congress, which is also quite a large governmental body, the people who got elected in there, by and large, they're very, very good people. They stepped up, and they're public servants, and they did it with good nature, and they have goodness in their hearts, and they're giving back, and they're serving the community. We only hear about the loudmouths and the more bombastic ones because it's more sensational, it sells more media, it sells more this. And quite frankly, a lot of them are doing it as an act. They should sign up for pro wrestling.
Yeah.
It's contrived and so forth. But the reality is we don't see about, hate to use this word, the mundane stuff, but the stuff that's essential to get work done and keep the country going. We don't hear about all the good stuff that's happening.
Yeah, it's not entertaining.
No,
right? It's not, with government, when government's boring, everybody's looking for something. Because, I was going to ask you, in this, this country's always been divided. Mm-hmm. That goes back to, Jefferson, Adams, all of them. Why do you think that we are so divided? It seems to be more chill lately, but there's still hot button topics, right?
The thing people need to remember about politics is that politics is local. So it's a matter of your community and doing something that you're passionate about, but doing it in a good way. You want to also pick your battles. You don't want to go after something just because you don't like it or you're angry about it. You want to be doing something that you're good at and something that you can change. The division, and a lot of it I still believe is a lot of it's very much manufactured. And you get that old cliche. You get the keyboard warriors and people like that.
I was going to ask, how do you think? Because I think you probably feel the same. Social media causes some of this. Yeah.
No, for sure. People are entitled to their opinion, and people should certainly share their opinion, and people should have debates about topics and so forth. But having calm, constructive debates and arguing viewpoints, there's no better way to build your knowledge and see the other viewpoint. With instant gratification, vines, 130 characters in a tweet and so forth, people try and spew it out as quick they can, but we're losing a little bit of patience and reserve and thoughtfulness when it comes to making informed decisions and informed arguments.
I 100% agree, and I'll be honest. There was a time in my life. I'm 38 years old at this point. I don't post anything really political on my Facebook. I may stir things up from time to time with sports now. Yeah. Because that's all good and fun. You still get people that get pissed off.
Yes,
but I mean, but I do find a lot of it very entertaining. Like I will go, you know, if this show's on YouTube. I definitely like YouTube.
Yes.
Okay, and I will watch the Young Turks, see what they're saying. Then I'm gonna flip to Shapiro. What's he saying today? Then what's Steven Crowder gonna say that's crazy? What's Steve Spader? What's he? You know, all these different, and they're all different viewpoints, but they're all extreme viewpoints.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And they've admitted it. Like Ben Shapiro sat down with the woman from the Young Turks, Anna, I believe, and they're both kind of admitting, like, yeah, there's a lot of sensationalism to this. Yep. And I'm like, but then that's how you make. That's why you guys are making so much money. You know, but I'm guilty of it too, where it's like this is entertaining. And
it should be taken in that context. I mean, if you really want to know more about something, you got to seek it out and find it out for yourself. Big spoiler here. All the talking heads you see on cable news and a lot of the people you mentioned, it's either a situation where they think they're smart but they don't know anything about politics because they've never actually done it, or it's an act. They might know that it's this or that, but they are purposely sensationalizing it. So again, you know, find something you're passionate about and do it to the best of your ability and do it the way that you think is right.
No, I like that. It's very interesting, but yeah, sometimes we get hung up on like the dumbest things that people want to argue about.
Yes.
And I me personally, I live in a life of not everything has to be black and white, right? There's a gray area somewhere.
Sure.
Where both sides are kind of right about something.
Yes.
You know. I want to get into this. This is what I really like to do. We got top fives. And I want to ask this because, you know, and this is a question I missed at the beginning. Was there a wrestler that inspired you before I go into this? That you were like, that was my guy?
For that one, I would have to say Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan has been on top of the business for decades. And Hogan is one of those guys where no matter where you are on the planet, you're going to know who he is. And people are going to know who he is long after he's dead. And he's a guy who crossed over into the mainstream. He got himself into movies. His timing was perfect. And he was a good businessman in terms of his character and how he wanted to be presented. So Hogan, or some sort of model like Hogan, and of course there's nobody like Hulk Hogan, but that really should be the goal, the ultimate goal of anybody who's in this business, is to be somebody like that who just transcends the business itself.
No, we've said on this show, we don't agree with things that Terry Bollea has said or done. That's not because this gets on the wrestling pages. Let's just argue to what was on the show. Hogan is the greatest of all time. That is coming from Let Freedom Ring. That's our belief on this show. Hogan is the GOAT. But I want to ask this.
For life.
Yeah, he did it all. I mean, he was the best babyface, and then he proved he could be the best heel.
Yes.
And Ric Flair even said in his book, he's like, this is why Ricky Steamboat could never be the best, because he could only be babyface. He couldn't be a heel. And I agree. I think it's Flair and Hogan. That's where I stand. Yeah. I think Austin The Rock are that next. You have Hogan, Flair, then it's Austin Rock. But we go through this. We're a little short on time because I want to ask a couple questions here. Right now, who do you think the top 5 wrestlers in the world are?
Well, Dan, just like the mainstream media, you did your job and gave the politician the questions ahead of time.
Yes,
so we
want the solid answers here.
So I kind of had a theme with the list of the best current wrestlers. I put Brock Lesnar, John Cena, The Rock. I'm going to put Ric Flair there, and we'll go back to him in a second, I guess. And then for the 5th place, it's kind of a toss-up between Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton. But the thing with those list of wrestlers is that their popularity nationally, a lot of people know who those names are. And cases like Cena, The Rock, they're in movies, so they're outside of the business, getting a lot of popularity. Ric Flair and Cody Rhodes, they're still in the wrestling business, and believe it or not, Ric Flair is still wrestling.
Yes.
But when those guys do something, they move the needle.
Yes.
And everybody in the wrestling business knows exactly what they do in each step that they take. So Randy Orton, I know a lot of the lady fans love Randy Orton, so he deserves a place on the list. And if you had 6th or 7th place, I'd throw Batista in there too. Batista is branching out into acting. He's getting that going, and his star is rising too in that realm. So right now, top 5 guys are the guys who not only are in the top of the wrestling business, but top of other businesses as well. All
right, I like the way you answered that, because I figured we were going to get Kenny Omega, but you're right. Those guys have transcended just pro wrestling, and they're household names.
Yes.
Cody maybe isn't outside of wrestling. I don't know, but to me, Cody Rhodes is the biggest thing in wrestling right now. But that's Roman is, but we're trying to shift that. This match has got me very
Note
hyped.
how Roman was not on my list.
Yes, that is shocking to me. But I want to ask this. Who are the top 5 in New England independent right now?
All right, so this one was a tough one to answer. And I know so many guys and girls have been so helpful to me on the independents while I'm coming up in the business, and I want to personally thank all of you. And if you're not on the list, it's no slight or anything. It's just for the TV show. Top 5 in New England. Here's my list. Channing Thomas.
Okay.
He's all over New England, and he's always in the main events. Right up there with them is Alec Price. Alec Price.
Wow, that kid's gotten good.
Yes.
He's gotten really good.
And you can see the love he has for the business when he's out there. And the crowd feels it, and they take the ride with him, which is absolutely great. Up there, I'm going to put Ichiban on the list.
Okay, I'm not familiar.
Number 1. He's all over Massachusetts, Connecticut. He's making his way down to New Jersey, and he's a great high flyer. And if you're in the crowd and you see him for the first time, he's a great guy to catch on to and really hang your hat on right away. And he's absolutely great. Another person I like on the indies, she's getting up there, is Shannon Levangie.
Okay.
She's been doing the rounds, and she's been doing good, and she's been getting all sorts of different types of matches, whether it's singles, mixed matches. She's been doing like no DQ matches and stuff like that, and she's been in this for a couple of years, but she's doing absolutely wonderfully, and I can't wait to see where she goes in the next several years. And then finally, top 5 in New England is The Politician.
All right.
Yep.
I like it. I like it. I got to say, too, what you mentioned Channing Thomas. Sidney Bacabella is still the best manager in the area.
Absolutely. Sidney is... Oh, man.
I brought my brother, Tim, to one of the shows. We were at Nashua, and he'd never seen... And a former guest of this show. Tim had never seen him. Mm-hmm. He goes, oh my God, he goes, that's brilliant. This is hilarious. Like, this is so good. He's trying to be like I said, yeah, that's what he's doing. And he's like, he thought it was just absolutely amazing.
Yes.
And what, resident of Merrimack,
yep,
Joe
that's
Eastman.
Right, yep. And a quick thank you to Sidney Bacabella. He's been the wealth of knowledge and experience that man has. He's been so helpful to me as I'm navigating the indies, and special shout out to that man. What a great man.
Yeah, he's got a brilliant mind for wrestling. Top 5 movies?
All right. So 2 out of the 5 are James Cameron films. My absolute favorite of all time is The Abyss.
Okay.
Second is Aliens. And just to be clear, it's Aliens from like 1986, not the first one, not any of the other ones. Up there is one of my favorite like fun movies is The Last Dragon.
Oh, okay.
Did you see that one?
Bro, was this Bruce Lee?
It was an actor named Taimak. It was Barry Gordy's The Last Dragon. It's from the 80s. I highly recommend it.
Okay.
Got to throw a sport movie in there. I loved Cinderella Man.
Oh, okay.
Based on the true life story of James Braddock.
Yeah.
And then threw a classic in there, Mr. Smith Goes to Washington.
Nice, okay. There's some of these I got to look up. I have to see. I've heard of Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. I don't know if I've seen it, but that's like an old school.
Yep.
You know.
And it's good. The movie has everything. It has comedy, drama, action. it takes you on a ride, and you are glued into that movie. You're hanging on to every word.
Nice. And now, do you have a favorite top 5 TV shows?
Well, sure do. Okay, my absolute favorite TV show is Mad Men.
Okay.
And
sticking to the political theme.
Yeah. they were about the agents on Madison Avenue in the advertising business, and what's great about that show is that everything outside of their office was drama, like high drama, but everything inside the office was comedy, and it was like comedy gold. It was so funny, so good. Up there, kind of a current one, Cobra Kai.
Yes.
Love that show.
Cannot wait.
And
I don't want it to be over, but I can't wait.
Yeah, great job they're doing. And like, I was worried, like, how the heck are they going to do this without Mr. Miyagi? But all things considered, they did spectacularly with Mr. Pat Morita's death. But all-time favorite, Star Trek: The Next Generation. When I'm in a bad mood, I just put on an episode and just like escape and watch it. Growing up, my favorite show was Family Matters.
Yes, that's one of my top. Yes.
And going back and watching those shows now, like they hold up, and seeing them now as an adult, you really appreciate the love story between Steve and Laura, and it's very sweet, and what an awesome one. And then another, got to throw an HBO show on there, Entourage.
Yeah, I love me some Entourage. That was right in the peak of like HBO, because anybody's watched this show knows that I'm obsessed with The Sopranos.
Yeah.
But and yeah, I would say, yeah, Entourage came around the same time, a couple of years later. But like, Oz was a great show back then. But I love Entourage. The only thing I wanted was I wanted the episodes to be longer.
Right.
Because they were a half hour when most of the shows were an hour on
right.
HBO.
Yep, you had to wait.
Yeah, that's a great list. We have some time. Want to get into buy or sell?
Okay.
Basically, I'm going to give you something that could be anything. You're going to tell me if you're buying or you're selling. Sticking with a political theme here.
Okay.
We have invited him on the show. We have not heard back from his team. It's been a while. But Governor Chris Sununu.
Buy.
He's pretty popular either side.
Yes.
Really.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've never voted for him. Full disclosure. Oh, he's going to see this. No, you know. But come on the show. Maybe I will. XFL.
So I haven't seen the Rock's iteration of it yet, unfortunately. But the last iteration that they did right before the pandemic, I was so hooked on it. Like they had all the players, the coaches, and the quarterback mic'd up, and you could hear everything in real time. And I was really digging it. It was like being some sort of like football fighter pilot and learning so much. And even the commentators, they were getting a kick out of it too. They even had the review booth mic'd up. So like you would hear what the reviewer was doing, and then the commentator would like walk you through the psychology of it, and you learn so much about football. If it's anything like that now, I'll be sure to catch it, and I wish The Rock the best, and I hope it's doing good.
It's been. I didn't want to leave.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so bummed. I'm a DC Defenders fan. We went to DC because my buddy Tim lives there. They've now beat the Battlehawks twice. My brother loves the Battlehawks, so it's been great. It's been great.
Awesome.
I want to ask this. Chaotic Wrestling just had their Cold Fury 21, maybe 22.
Mm-hmm.
Been going for a long time. I think 22. Brad Cashew won the the Chaotic title. Buy or sell Brad Cashew?
The thing about Chaotic Wrestling is that I have been over to their shows and helped out with their ring crew and doing that with them, and Chase and Scott and everybody down over there. Great people. They have great school, great wrestlers coming out of their school. A lot of them are my friends in the business, and they put on a really, really good show. And I can't be more appreciative for Chase, especially, to welcome me in and letting me help out and learn from one of the legacy promotions here in New England.
Yeah, no, they're great. I mean, he's been working towards the title for a while. I used to go to Cold Fury every year. The pandemic just kind of changed things. Billy Duncan, buy or selling?
Buy. What a player that he is. He does on shows and this and that, things were asked of him that I wouldn't volunteer for.
Yeah.
And he went for him full steam ahead. So he's going places, and I wish him a speedy recovery with his ankle.
Yeah, Will's a great guy, and that doesn't surprise me. Scott Reed.
Bye. Definitely bye. The wealth of knowledge and experience that Scott Reed has is invaluable to my training and to all of his students at the Elite Pro Wrestling Academy. And with him behind the helm of WFA, I can't think of anybody better.
Awesome. Mercedes, Sasha Banks, right now.
Right now, sell.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm a big fan of hers, but like, I don't know. It's not as good right now.
What happens, unfortunately, is you got wrestlers who go to the WWE and they're superstars there. Some who leave the WWE can take their star power with them. Some cannot. My thing with her is I'm not sure she can take her star power with her wherever she goes.
I just think like when she debuted in New Japan, there was like almost no reaction, and that just could be that women aren't. That's newer to New Japan,
Yeah.
right? The curious would be if she shows up in AEW, which leads to my next one: buy or sell AEW.
If I was a businessman, I might buy it while it's on its heels, but I'm gonna have to sell AEW in its current form.
Okay, all right. A little too disorganized at times, or
Yeah, they need more of a direction, more steering the ship in the right way, and they can't be I forget what they call it. Doing too much up front. They got to build things and get people invested. They're just doing things for the sake of doing things rather than having some sort of story or something that people can attach themselves to.
I think it's great to have great matches, but if you want us to invest in characters, they need to be on the show every week.
Yes.
One good example is Wardlow.
Mm-hmm.
Had all this momentum, and then he was barely on TV, and then he came back, and nobody cared.
Right.
Last one, I want to know this. It's the WrestleMania main event this year for WrestleMania 39. Are you buying or selling Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns?
Sell.
Really? Okay.
In the internet wrestling community, there's like who can take the belt off of Roman, and that remains to be seen. But with Cody's a viable challenger for the title, it just doesn't seem like they're building the story in that direction. I don't think Roman's going to lose.
That would break my heart.
Yeah,
because I'm a Cody mark, and I won't lie about it. So, but I'm very hyped for this match. I'm hyped for WrestleMania. But Matt,
I'll still watch it.
Yeah, no. But it's been a pleasure having you on
Thank
the
you
show.
so much,
This was
Dan.
a lot of fun. We'll have to do it again sometime. Maybe
Of course.
have you on with a few of the other guys from the promotion. But everybody out there, have a wonderful week. Keep your heads up, and until next time, let freedom ring.